Today I'm bringing you a phenomenal story of two amazing, powerful ministers of the gospel who have had 35 years of mission experience. Their story of love, dedication, sacrifice, and testimony of God's faithfulness. It is such as I have not heard that kind before. This is indeed a testimony you want to listen to. Allow me introduce to you the life of Reverend Michael and Reverend Angela Christisking. This is going to blow your mind. Thank you everyone for joining us. I'm Femi Lazarus, and I'm having in front of me today very amazing ministers of the gospel. Reverend Michael Christ is King, yes, and Reverend Angela Christ is King. And they've been doing phenomenal mission work. I've sat down with them and listened to their insights. It is remarkable. And we believe it is something that people will need to hear. And I tell you, as we join this interview, there are amazing testimonies and stories, and also light and insight, in the aspect of your calling where God has called you. And I tell you, it will be a journey never to regret. And I want to thank you so much, Sandma, for joining us on this special interview today. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
First question, why did you agree to marry?
Oh no. Oh, wow.
Has he started mission work before you both met?
He actually, yes, he was a young evangelist in a denomination where I was saved.
Which church was that?
It was called Bible Missionary Church.
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria, just like Deeper Life kind of.
Where in Nigeria?
In the East.
Amazing.
Yes. And I got saved from background of Catholic Church, coming in, having an encounter of the Lord. And, I got saved in the church there because I went there for something to ask a question, and the Lord just took over my life. And a year or two after that, I was total saved. I was radical saved. My family were crying for me. They thought somebody did voodoo. Wow. They did all kinds of stuff. They fought the church. They sent police to the pastor. It was because I didn't know anything. I was born Catholic, raised Catholic, and then here, boom. And the transformation was so much. The Lord was speaking to me to everything, and I was changing. So in that's one day, why I was saved, just when I get saved, what God started showing me was nations, but I didn't know what that was. When I close my eyes to pray, and I will see myself in this country, that country, that country.
Prior to that time, have you left Nigeria before?
No, sir. I was in 19, coming into 20-year-old.
Between 19 and 20?
Yes, sir. That's when I was saved. So, and didn't know anything about prophecy, didn't know about nation, didn't know anything. I was total novice because the church where I was born as a Catholic, we don't know any of that. And I didn't associate with anyone.
Wow.
Yeah, so I didn't have any concept.
Wow.
But it was all fresh thing happening to me. And because of that, my heart was so filled. I knew God was sending me to the nation, but I didn't know what that means. So that brought me to the place of consecration. I didn't know what that I'm saying it now, but that's what I knew.
Yeah.
So I will start praying, and I will ask the Lord to promise me that he will keep me to go to the nations.
Wow.
That was my fear. My fear was these nations I'm seeing, promise me that you kept me. I don't know how many years. It may took me 100 years to cover it. That's how it was. And it was such urgency in my spirit. It was like a fire. And with that, he came along. I have known of him, but he didn't know me because he had come to our church and preached revival.
Amazing.
Which I went out, I was crying. Everybody in the church cried. And I've had both pastors, the elders in the church, highly respected, but he was very young. They would talk about him as a revivalist. When he preached, everybody cried. So the same thing happened. I remember that when he came to our church, on Sunday morning, big church at that time. And when he preached, everybody would go to the altar.
So he was a guest minister in your church?
Yes, sir. But he is also in a denomination, but denomination has churches all over the
Your
country.
church invited him to come preach?
Yes.
And later he still found a wife in that church that invited him.
Yeah, that's what. Then we had a convention, like
Yes.
you know how denomination had, yearly convention. So we had convention. We went there. I was there with my friends, our cut off altar workers, and after the preaching, that's how he came to me. So
After he finished ministering?
Yeah, he didn't minister that day.
Okay.
He wasn't that. He didn't preach among the leaders that preached, but he was there. He came. And he asked, can he speak to me? I said, sure,
That's as a guest minister now?
Now, he's a member.
Okay, now he had moved from where he was to your church.
Yeah, this happened in a
I'm trying to get the whole story.
Yeah, Pastor, are you going there? This happened actually now in the center. Like you have an annual convention
Yes.
that a church come together. So every branch from different in the district.
Yes.
And he was there in the district. So, because he's an itinerary young evangelist, so he
Yes.
travels in the different districts. So he was there. And when he came in that night, church, the service has ended. And, everybody were in the hall, chatting, talking. And that was when he came to me to speak to me. He said, can I talk to you? I said, sure. Sitting down to hear him. There are many stuff in whatever he said I don't remember. But one thing I remember, because it was the thing that really was a problem, was that he said the Lord told him that I'm his wife, that he will marry me.
You shouldn't forget that.
I actually did. I tell you the truth, I did. So everything he said, and when he finished and left, and I left,
Yes.
so I was upset. I was shocked because I hear other brothers and sisters.
What year was this?
This was it 1986? Ending of 85.
1985. 39 years ago.
Yeah. It was,
Not that man. Well, about 39.
Yes.
You're right. Yes,
Yeah.
because we just turned 37 years of marriage.
yes.
Amazing.
Yeah. So when I went back, you know how girls do things. So I went back and I spoke to my friends who know him, because he has went to Lagos and preached in their church. And that my friend now, they moved in the East for, Bible school and other stuff. So I went to her, I said, you can't believe what happened. He said, I said, do you know what happened? Do you know, Brother Michael asked me, he said that I'm his wife. I thought you said, this man is on fire. This man is so saved. I said, I don't think so. God didn't speak to him.
Amazing.
And
you had no iota of feelings for him before that?
No.
Was he too on fire for you or too far away for you?
Pastor, what happened was, because of that vision when I got saved,
Yes.
that the Lord was showing me, my heart was so completely filled. I didn't think I'm fitted to be a wife. Why I knew that I'm going to be traveling. Because in my mind, every time I close my eyes, I see myself from country to country. And I was thinking, I didn't know, which I told some other brothers that came, I said, no marriage. We can be as sisters, but no marriage. You won't want to marry me.
Could it be because you are from Catholic?
No, it wasn't because I was Catholic.
Reverend mothers, reverend sisters,
and nuns.
Yes.
I think that's where my inclination was going, because I felt for a wife, you're going to sit on, especially what I have noticed since I got saved. My friends, few of them that got married, they are pregnant, and I knew I won't be there. I said, you won't marry a woman that will not be around, because that's all I was seeing. So I thought the Lord just going to have me like a nun, traveling, doing whatever he was showing me. So that I blocked marriage. And I was thinking that the Lord will, my prayer actually, I wasn't thinking, I was praying that he will actually carry me so that I will not disgrace him to do all that. So that blocked any word of marriage coming. So when he came, he stirred up a water that I didn't know was bad. Yeah. So when he said those things, I actually got upset. Wow. I got upset, which I never did with other brothers that came. that mentioned it. I just told them, I carefully, respectfully told them to let them know so they don't hang around, that this is not going to happen. And he sure don't want to marry me because I won't be there. So, but when he finished and left, and I told my friend, I wanted my friend to take a fight for me.
To take a fight.
Yeah, what I was thinking, that she will go and tell him off, because he was
So I know her friend.
He knew my friend.
I just finished revival meeting
in their church
in
in
their
Lagos,
church.
and they came back. They were talking about him. He's everybody. So you have this high mind. I wouldn't even think he would even talk about marriage. That's how I was thinking. So when I told her that, my friend kept quiet. So after the convention, when we were leaving, he said to me, he said, "Sister Angie, I think you need to pray about that." I said, "Are you out of your mind? Are you crazy? You forgot God is coming to
You told a fireman
I
that.
told my friend.
Okay.
I said, there cannot be any marriage. That man did not hear from God. That man is carnal. She was shocked. And I said, "Why are you doing that? Go tell him. Tell him he's not saved." If he said, that's how I was seeing it. I said, how could he? He didn't hear God. I had God for nation. Why is he coming for marriage? So she being a friend, she knew me. So she kind of quiet for a moment. She didn't say anything. So we finished, we dismissed, she left. Months later.
You need to tell him the part that you wrote a bad letter to me.
I don't know why pastor has to think of this.
She wrote a bad letter.
She wrote a bad letter to me.
It was a religious letter. It was letter where you want to correct your brother. You put scriptures in there, and you just want to tell them, you're in a carnal, you're in flesh.
Oh, wow.
So
But I'm not hearing God. I'm carnal, that I need to be saved. So he was correcting me so that he doesn't. She was correcting me so that she doesn't have to embarrass me. It's like, I'm secretly correcting you as my brother. I don't want this to get out. And then they look down at you as somebody that is a powerful evangelist, but you're secretly asking a sister to marry you. What kind of evangelist are you?
My virgin mind, remember, this is my first time encountering God.
Yeah.
I've lived life out there in the world. I wasn't that I was that virgin. But when I came to the Lord, there was a total transforming, like my life just
100%.
started new. So everything was so new to me, and my dedication was wholesomely. To my mind, Catholic, there are people, when they get saved, they get saved. That's why Catholic people are very strong.
Yeah.
They get really saved if they're genuine. So that brought me to a place where I was saying these things.
Now, before she continues, I need to bring my own part of the story. And then she will finish her part. You will finish your part. It is important because as a young man, I was of the same mind. I made up my mind that I'm not going to get married. And
really?
Yes, I was thinking the same way, that the ministry was just taken up by us. I didn't have to open any door. God just gifted me, and the leaders would take me to different churches to hold missions, revival for their churches and different things. And the Lord was just moving. If you ask me what I preach, I don't even remember. I just know that I showed up and God showed up every time. There was so much transformation going on. But the thought of marriage and the feeling of marriage hit me. So when it hit me, I just have this fear. And I tell people all the time, fear is an invitation to see God. And the Bible said, and Jehoshaphat feared and set his heart to seek the Lord. So I just started crying out to God, saying, God, please choose a woman for me. When I say I prayed. It was such a burden to me. And I said, God, if you have never spoken to me before, you must speak to me. He said, because if I make a mistake, I'll blame you. I cried out to God day and I was very serious, and I knew that God had the power to choose somebody for me and give to me. That's how I just believed, my simple faith belief. And I cried day and night for 30 months. I didn't hear a thing from God concerning this matter. One day, I walked into our convention. I had preached somewhere early. It was a Sunday. I preached somewhere Sunday morning, which is outside our denomination. Another church invited me. I preached, and then I came back to meet our own service, the morning service. This is convention from churches coming from different places to hold a national convention. So when I came in, they have dismissed. You know how when people dismiss, they're in fellowship or fellowshipping, talking. And I saw her. When I saw her, I've never seen her in my life. The Holy Spirit spoke to me as clear as day. That is the wife we've been praying for. So I just walked up to her and I announced my intentions to her and told her what the Lord told me. And she just about fell off the chair. And
she almost fell off.
She almost fell off the chair. It took her 6 months of struggle to respond to me. But I knew that God spoke to me. So I didn't worry about it. I put it in God's hand. I just went into my rest, so to speak.
There's a misconception in our generation now.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask for balance.
Yeah.
Apart from the word God spoke to you, did you have any feeling for her?
I didn't have any feelings. There was I didn't know her before. I don't know her name.
In the course of asking her out, you didn't develop any feeling?
There was no feeling. It was just one time sitting down, right? You know how you're taking the bus?
Are you saying you are still running this marriage for about 37 years without any feelings?
No. The feelings came now.
Okay, came.
Yeah. During the course of the year before we got married, the feelings was downloaded. You know, yeah. So, but
you moved in obedience first.
Yes, I moved in obedience first. Of course, the feeling came strong. In fact, we had to make a decision from day one that there will never be a body contact as far as shaking hand is concerned. So, and we didn't shake hand until the day we got married. So, but just a cautionary thing that you do when you know you are not strong. Your God is your strength. You walk in wisdom. Yeah. You know, so to speak. But the bottom line was that I believe with all of my heart if I'm a child of God. Now, people may disagree with this concept because God can deal with people in different ways. Because somebody saw someone, dated them, grew close to them, and there was no voice from heaven to them, does not mean it's not God. But for me, marriage is so important. The person you're going to live for life. You've been running alone, suddenly you're going to be tied with somebody that will make decisions with you. It is not light thing, especially if you are going to be a leader. So it was that important to me that when I cried to God, and because 30 days is not a month. 30 months is not a short time. Yeah. To stay that long without hearing a word from God can be discouraging. Where in fact, there was a time I saw a sister. I even saw, maybe like Saul said, this is the person, you know. And I spoke to her. She blew me off, you know.
Blew you off?
She just said, "Sorry, please mind your business. I am not ready for marriage." Oh, wow. You know, but that didn't faze me because I just felt like she loved God. She's the kind of thing within that time of praying, you know. And you know how you prepare a sermon and you when you arrive in church, your whole sermon falls apart because God is giving you another message, you know, so to speak. But within that time, there are mistakes, there are different things. But when God spoke to me about her, it was as clear as day. And
was she your first relationship? She was your first relationship?
My first relationship ever, yes.
Never been into anyone?
Never been into anyone.
And you too, man? Is your first relationship?
No, it wasn't my first. Before I got saved, I have friends.
Okay.
That's why, you know.
Friends or boyfriends?
I had boyfriends.
Boyfriends, okay.
Yeah. So that's why it's good when you serving God to give all and trust Him.
Yes.
Because when the call came to me, which I later knew that it was called, that God was calling me, my whole heart sold out to Him. And I'm a person that I don't pretend. I don't know how to pretend. Yes. I'll tell you if I'm with you, I'm with you. If I'm not with you, I'm not with you. You don't need to guess because I won't be there and you won't make me to. You know, if I don't see what you see. So the same way I entered and watched in serving God is either I'm serving God fully or I'm out. And I didn't see anything to play game with, in the church because I felt like I have a better life out there. And that was that mindset that I went, and I cherished that the Lord was showing those things. So I kind of said, okay, that means that's what He wanted me to be. And a time came after I was fighting between him, I would go home. And when I remember it, I would get so upset. I said, how dare him? How
Really?
Yeah, that's how it was. Before, that's what prompted me one day. The letter didn't come that day. The letter I wrote probably 3 months later. When I heard that he was coming back, he was in our church. And he was coming. So that day I was traveling to somewhere. So I said, okay, this man did not hear from God. But I was so burdened. But I didn't know it was God, but, son, how dare him? So I went and wrote those letters.
Wow.
I wrote it and sent it and I left. And the Lord kept quiet because I was doing consecration. My consecration was, I keep asking God every Tuesday, because there was a period I was working. So when I have my day off, I use it for prayer. And I will say to the Lord, promise me you will keep me. That was my whole thing.
Prayer.
Promise me you keep me to go to the nations without disappointing you. And one of the things that was anything that bothered me that the fear I had as a new believer was she used to be on fire. Because I've heard them say, oh, that brother, that sister used to be on fire, but she's not now.
So if I might interrupt,
Yes,
two very important questions around this area. What made you change your mind?
What made me change my mind was 6 months later, the district superintendent of our church in Aba had come to me and asked me, can I go to Port Harcourt, that there are missionaries coming?
And that is in the home of the Reverend Maxi. Yeah.
And his
Amazing.
wife and some other white missionaries, that came with him that time. He said, can you go and help them because they will need to aid them? I said, sure, sir, I would go. So I traveled to Port Harcourt, and I was there with the missionaries. And one day they went out for sightseeing, but I didn't go with them. So I stayed back. And during the daytime, I just went out in a corridor reading my Bible. As I was reading, it is almost like now we're having conversation.
Yes.
The Lord came. All this time I've been praying, even though they call, I never knew, but I knew what I was seeing, the impression. And the church I was saved is a holiness church. They believe in a sound word, but they don't really believe in prophecy. I don't know if it's changed now. And so the Lord came to me and spoke to me so clear. He said to me, he said, I have called you, I have called him. The vision I have given to you, I have given to you. And that was when it's like the Lord married us that day. He married me. That was the day he actually put a word that what I was saying is a call. And then the same time he married us. When I was in Port Harcourt, when he spoke there, I broke down there. I started crying, saying, Lord, I will not disobey you. I'm not into this, but I want to obey you. Okay, so I went there.
You have to tell the part where you came and started begging me to take you.
Oh, really? She begged.
No, not just like, not that. I was following obedient to the voice of the Lord.
I like the things you can remember.
Oh, my goodness. He remembered those little places. So after in Port Harcourt, I went back, and he was in one of the church which I was, we were part of the founder, because as a young adults, they will send us out to start a church.
Wow.
And then they put a pastor there. Yeah. So he was preaching that Sunday. So when I went that evening, all I wanted, because I promised the Lord in Port Harcourt, I would say yes. But I didn't stop to say, wait a minute, did he fit? And I know I'm a very picky person. If I had to pick based in the way I think, it wouldn't go. And then I would disobey the Lord. There was no
Because
way.
I was very broke. I was very flat broke, Pastor. I was flat broke, and she came from a very wealthy background. So it was something that was not going to really work if it was like her checking my status out.
Wow.
That may not be what may hold it. The point is that you have people, that's why I talk to the young people. When you grow, when you're excellent in your thinking, even in the Lord, it should be excellent.
Yeah.
Your obedience should be excellent.
Yes.
It shouldn't come and go down, because that's what he calls us into. But it's not in flesh.
Did
you experience family altercations about your coming together?
Yes. My family was concerned. Now, my family, they did not approve me getting married that young. They said to me, yes, yeah, I'm the last of 5.
Okay.
So, and I had given my life to the Lord, and everybody knew that I've gone through phases of persecution. This was to be a new phase, but God gave me rest in this one because we had some members of my family that were on my side, like my father and my mother. My mother came along.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that, eventually my father escorted me to her family to say we want to, the introduction and everything, which happened very smoothly.
Yeah.
And the Lord gave us favor with them. Just after the introduction, we now went to Lagos, came to Lagos for our visa. And
so, I was going to come there. So you married, your marriage is now 30 what?
37. We just
years.
turned 37
That
in
should
July.
be 1987. 87,
Yes.
precisely. Yeah. And you left Nigeria for...
we married in July 7th.
Yes.
And I left in August 20. I left August 19.
So you left Nigeria since
arrived August 20.
1987.
Since 1987, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You have escaped some of the things that... It's okay. Let's leave that.
Escaped so much.
All right. So I was going to ask, now leaving Nigeria for America then, was it about missions or just change of environment?
Okay, so I had gone to Bible school.
Yes.
Yeah. So there was another Bible school that was working with this one. Another school, a college was working with this one that accepted their credits. So I continued school there at my bachelor's and finished school.
Maybe I might need to do a bit of work in explaining to our audience. They are missionaries, and they have been doing incredible work around the world, not just in Africa. Your last mission was in Sudan.
Uganda.
To Uganda, the northern side of Uganda, where you have the refugees from Sudan.
Yes.
We actually went to also South Sudan, and then we went to Congo, which was a brief intercessory.
And what you're preparing for right now is Uganda. Where you get
the Sudanese,
to focus on the Sudanese refugees.
Yes,
You've done missions in Turkey?
Well, no, we haven't done in Turkey. Yeah, but we are going to do in Turkey next year. Yeah, we're going to Turkey next year. Again, focusing on refugees at this time.
Syrian refugees that migrate to Turkey.
Yes, we're going to do Turkey. We're going to do Kenya.
Yes. Where else have you done? What other missions?
We have ourselves and our team have done missions in 17 nations.
Please, can you mention a few?
Okay, in Ethiopia, in China, in North American countries, Argentina, Dominican Republic,
Haiti. We were there during the 2012 when they had that big earthquake, 7.2, that
magnitude.
Yes. So, but most of our mission work has been home mission. I'm part of Assemblies of God Home Mission in the U.S. So we did a lot of work in the Carolinas, in New York City. We did a lot of work. We have held over 10,000 evangelistic services in this past 35 years. 10,000. 10,000. Yes. So 28 of that 35 years have been full-time missions. But before that 28, about 28 minus 35 is like 7, how many? 7, right? Yes. So 7 of that 35 I was teaching and serving in, secular work, and so on and so forth. But, so that is our main mission thrust has been evangelism.
Okay. So I want to ask a few more questions. Yes. In listening to ministers who operate beyond Nigeria, there are some concepts that they really don't believe in. But before I ask you that question, I'd like to ask you this. Are you full-time missionaries?
Yes, sir. We are full-time.
We've been full-time
for 28 years now. We've been
for 28 years.
From United States, yes. We're full-time.
How do you get your bills paid?
How do I get our bills paid?
Yes.
Basically, there are 2 forms of missionaries as far as raising funds is concerned. There are totally, and that's our organization believed in that, which we didn't quite succeed in doing. totally fundraising missions where you have to raise your budget. If you don't raise your budget, there's no way. So in other words, if your budget, for example, in a year is, let's say, it will cost you 60,000 by American standard, 60,000. The budget they gave us for New York was 120,000. It may sound big, but trust me, in New York City, it's not
expensive.
big.
120,000 for
Dollars,
yes,
per year.
For 1 year.
For family.
For our family.
So
In what sense?
they told us that's what we need to raise for your, paying your bill, just for basic things.
Yeah.
120,000.
Yeah.
20,000.
They
US
calculated it both for
They do the budget for you.
They do the budget.
They do it very well.
So do you have partners?
Okay, so let me go back to the two formats.
Yes.
So the two formats of that is raising your fund before doing missions, which is scriptural, sound and scriptural. And the other part is going out with a few people who are praying for you and trusting God to provide. The latter has been our model. We have done most of the work we've done totally by faith. Trusting God. God speaks to us.
17 countries around the world.
Yeah.
And you move with some other young people
Yes.
that join you.
Yes.
For flight and the expenses. Yes. You do it by faith.
Yeah, but you have to know, moving in America, the young people pay their bills.
Everybody
they raise their
raises
funds.
their own fund.
Yes.
Yeah, like we're talking about our son. He raised his fund. Everybody raises their fund. But here from Nigeria, let me just give an example for what we mean. Here, last year, we eventually mobilized 67 people, 53 from Nigeria, 14. But to do that, when we started, we had $47. I remember that very clearly.
$47 or $47,000?
$47. That's
4 and 7.
4 and 7. That's what. But by the time we finished, we had recorded cash, just cash alone is $77. $77,000 cash alone. And then we're not talking about kind, like several
People support.
people supported. People supported, and there are, it was, our biggest asset is hearing God. And then sharing with brothers and
sisters. Have you been stranded before?
Never. I've never been stranded before. And I can tell you stories of
years of mission.
Never. I've never been stranded. My kids have never been stranded. And I can tell you one of the things that happened to me, because being a school teacher, when we arrived in America, I started working to provide for my family when children started coming. Yes. So for that 7 years, we bought a home, we bought everything, and I was working.
You have your own
house? Yes. Okay. I was working full time. I was working 4 jobs, by the way. So then I encouraged her to stay home, help the children when they are still tender.
Yes.
But in the middle of work, one day at night, God spoke to me and said, I called you to serve me, and you have given your whole energy and life. And then my excuse is, God, let me raise up the keys, or let me get some things together. Let me save some money, then I will go. He said, you give me your priority, and I will take care of your children. And I'm telling you, between then and now that my children have received, we added it. Over $1 million worth of scholarship. My children went to secondary school in boarding schools that paid $70,000 a year to go. Trump's daughter went to the same boarding school. High class, and then we're not talking about even their universities and so on and so forth. So God provided for us food I have three children. So God provided food, provided everything we needed, and then also the money for the outreaches we did. We don't owe anybody, and we have always, there is no outreach that we did that failed. When we started,
I was going to ask, no outreach has failed.
In the past 35 years, no outreach we did failed. Not one. We always accomplish our things. May change. In a little bit.
It may be delayed.
Yeah, maybe delayed and may change.
On the Lord
and like our goal last year was to take 70 people. But when we went to camp and so much was going on.
70 people to where?
To northern Uganda.
Okay.
Yeah. To serve the refugees for 2 months. But some people left. We weren't able to take 70 people. Not that we weren't able, but they left on their own. Yeah. So we produced 42 passports. Everything we carried, everything we paid for, everything, by the grace of God. So the Lord provided for us to do. So the number changed. Our time there changed. So much changed, but we effectively still did what we were supposed to do.
There's a question I'd like to ask you.
Yes.
When we were talking behind the camera,
Yeah.
you spoke about the need for getting young people who can, the same way you serve in Nigeria, like the NYC scheme,
Yes.
can also like dedicate a year
Yes.
of their life to missions.
Yes.
You have 3 kids.
Yes.
Did they all do the same thing?
They all did the same thing. Yeah. They all did the same thing. My first one, as I was telling you, served in India.
Yes.
Okay.
He's the medical doctor.
He's a medical doctor. The second one, who is in finances, served in China. He actually served 2 tours in China, 1 year each. And then the third one served in Jerusalem, served Arab children. And they're under the covering of the House of Prayer, Jerusalem House of Prayer.
Yeah.
You know, they all gave 1 year. And then they went on to do what they are called to do. But I can tell you, they all have a heart for missions. You know, so much burden for mission. That was an eye-opening view from God's own islands, so to speak, to see the nations in need, to see the need of laborers, and the need of supporting missions, the need of praying for missionaries, and the need of mobilizing missionaries in a way we couldn't teach them. So you can imagine members from your church, young people from your church, you're releasing 10 of them to go. They will come back, I guarantee you, they will never be the same.
Amazing.
The young people that are not even qualified in your church to be ushers will be bishops among the refugees. We saw them teaching, and how sound they were and how passionate they were. You know, they would teach and they would pray. You see them weeping over these refugees, you know, and ministering to them. At night, we prayed almost all night long. And then during the day, and they have energy. During the day, they're up, we eat breakfast, we're in the field, you know, and they're ministering all day long. And they come back with so much joy and testimony. Did you know that God did? Somebody was healed. I prayed for somebody and they were healed in front of me. You know, they lived. So when we were folding up to leave, many of them were asking, can't we stay? Can't we stay a month longer, 2 months longer? Can I talk with my sister. She says she wants to stay with me. Can we stay? And so on and so forth.
Yes. God is doing phenomenal things in your ministry, and it's so beautiful to hear. And one of the things I hope people will learn from this interview is the fact that God is doing amazing things around the world. And there are many servants of God that are, you know, eating not so much noise, and yet so much is happening. Your records are amazing. They are really dangerous to look at. I mean, the things we've discussed. Raising children, 3 males?
No, two boys and 1 girl.
One girl. In America, a country that is experiencing fast moral decline. How have you been able to raise children that yet love God enough to go for missions across the world?
One of the ways I answer people, and people ask me this question all the time, because some of them, their children just is their headache. They're either trying to help them with drug issue, or they're just rebellious. They will not. I never experienced that. And I don't have psychology in raising children, and I don't consider myself a good child raiser or whatever the case may be. I don't know. All I know is that my children followed us as we followed the Lord.
They followed you.
They pursued us. If me and mom, we're fasting, they will come into fasting.
They go on their own fast.
Yeah, they go long fast to the point that my children will hold me accountable. They said that this is what the Lord is telling me, and so on and so forth. There was a time because we didn't have television growing up the kids, so they were under our tutelage. And if we wanted to watch movie, we rented movie, and the whole family will watch it together.
Amazing.
So, and the kids will go into this consecration mode, and they will say, the Lord told me for the next 1 year, I shouldn't watch a movie.
Yeah.
You know, amazing. and it's amazing the result that will come out of that, the revelation. So each time there's a movie time, the Lord says, you have to read the word, or you have to read a book that has to do with so and so during that time. And it's so incredible. My son, I remember what you said yesterday in church. My son, in school. My son, the middle one, went to Notre Dame University in Indiana.
Okay.
He called me one day and said that when he just entered into school, he said that God spoke to me that I should never hug a lady. He's tall and handsome, and there were so many girls in the school. So whenever a girl comes to hug her, she would stretch out her. No, I didn't teach her that. Yeah, I didn't. But the Lord was teaching them. For us, the Lord did a lot. There are certain things we taught them, but we never really did here. But how God, they love us passionately. They honor us. They respect us.
Amazing.
And they love the Lord. I believe they love God more than we do. And they're running for God. Their whole heart is mission. And it's, if you let them, they want to leave what they are doing and spend this year with us in Uganda. By the way,
you've done amazing things. One of the issues we've had, seeing pastors' children who don't want to do anything around ministry. And, and for many who have been discouraged about seeing what their parents have gone through in ministry, there are stripes and there are things that we ministers do go through that sometimes are not pleasant.
Yes.
And I think sometimes it is the unhealthy exposure of this information to children at the phase of life that they are not ready for them to understand the sacrifices that comes. And sometimes I think it is the bridge, the gap that exists in following God. Such that it is one thing to obey. It is another thing to know how to follow instruction. And there are consequences when people don't follow the instructions and which can bet certain experiences that are not palatable. And I want to believe that your ability to follow God to the latter, which in turn also produce some level of response from God, if I use that word, also went a long way to reinforce, the heart of your children that when you follow God, He's faithful to take care of you.
He's faithful. The safest place in the world is in the will of God. And we've done some crazy stuff. When our daughter was preparing to go to Jerusalem, it was at the height of rockets falling in Mount Olive, in that same area that we were saying now. We were watching it on TV, and pastors told me, you can't send your daughter there. I said, he that looketh at the wind or at the sky will never sow. So this is what God has spoken to us. Let her go. And it is better to obey God and die obeying Him than to be safe. So to what you call safe, outside the will of God. And she went there. It was one of the best experiences of her life. So, and we've gone to places and done things that people say you're absolutely crazy, but it was the best life-changing, hearing God and obeying Him no matter what.
Have you been arrested before?
Yes, I have been. We have been arrested. We've been thrown in jail. For preaching the gospel.
Why?
Yeah.
For preaching the gospel?
For preaching the gospel, yes.
New York City.
Was that a consumer bridge or what?
Well, I remember that particular day, as a matter of fact. In 2009.
October
24th, 2009.
New York City.
And the police officer, we do ministry. We have done ministry in the ferry. We lived in Staten Island, New York. That's where our office, everything is. And we will carry, young people will come with us and do team ministry. But we held Bible study in the ferry. The ferry that comes from Staten Island to Manhattan carries about 3,500 people. Amazing. And that's our church. We did Bible study every morning to those teams. That's a rush hour. The boat is filled up. We did Bible study, of course, because we're not allowed to use any amplifier. Probably about 500 or 700 people will hear you at the way the boat is built at the same time.
So you stand on the boat?
We stand on the boat.
And raise your voice, preaching. Someone reported your what?
No. We did that every day. So we've gotten over people reporting us because it didn't go anywhere.
Okay.
So, but this particular day, I call it the day Satan came to market. That's the day he comes. But that day he came. But this new officer that hadn't known us, police officer that work there, they know us. We're very courteous. We are very respectful. They know our teams. They know how we conduct. But we must hold Bible study. We must teach the people.
You pay for the ride just to hold Bible.
That particular, we pay for the ride in other places, but the ferry doesn't have the charges.
Because we live there.
We live there.
In Staten Island. So we can take it free and go.
So that day, that police officer was completely new. I've never seen him before. In fact, police people, they defend us. They protect us if there is a mob issue rising. So, but this one...
You've experienced mob issues also.
Yes, several months with mob issues. And you see police walking left and right, with their hands on their gun. And people will back off. That has happened. But this particular day, this police officer...
Have you been beaten before?
I have been punched. I have been punched by the crowd. I have had banana peels thrown at me. I've had all kinds of stuff. But this particular day, the police officer came and told me, stop preaching. I respectfully told him, I'm almost at the end of my message. But when they tell me to stop preaching, I do. I tell myself, that's not the end. I can start ministry again tomorrow. Because I don't want to dishonor the police in front of the public.
Yes.
It doesn't do good with their dignity and their authority. Yeah. So I whispered to him, I said, please, I'm almost done. Let me finish. And then somebody told him, it was in the night, as a matter of fact.
It was at night.
So somebody told him that a lot of people are drunk in this boat and they love this preacher, even though many of them are unbelievers. Yeah. If you touch him, there will be riot. So I thought he respected what I said. He backed off and I continued preaching only for him to jump on me and handcuff me.
Wow.
As soon as he did that, the people stood up. The whole boat stood up. They stood on their feet and they were saying, why are you arresting the preacher? Have you finished arresting all the criminals?
And they are criminals.
Fight broke out in the boat.
Really?
Yeah, it was. Can you imagine in the middle of the water? It was a riot. Some people were on police side, some people were on my side, and they started fighting all over the boat. People were fighting to the point that people wanted to throw people all overboard in the boat. And they called for what they call Blue 500.
Yeah.
The Blue 500 is when there is a crisis, they call every police officer that is not engaged to come to that center. But there's no way for them to come to the boat because in the middle of the water. So they had a helicopter flying over the boat. And it was a big crisis. So finally, the police officer was asked, they were taken to court, were asked, what did he do? Why did you arrest him? He said, he told them that I beat him. So
Really?
did he bite you after you arrested him or before you arrested?
Did you bite him?
I did not bite him.
Not after also.
I did not bite him. So I don't even remember biting anybody in my life, much by a police officer who is carrying it. He can shoot you.
Police are honored in
this. Yeah. I never. In fact, when he said that, when he said that I have beaten him, somehow I said, maybe I beat him. Because I never believe a police can lie. Especially in the US, I never believe a police officer can lie. I said, if he said I beat him, then I beat him. It was my pastor. A pastor friend of mine came to me and said, wait a minute. Pastor Mike, you did not bite anybody. I'm saying, I didn't. And I was so traumatized by the whole event that by the time we came, the boat docked. Wow. Police officers were everywhere. It's like an army.
Wow.
Of people everywhere because what they had, they thought the boat was, they had been taken over by terrorists. I don't know what they had.
They will not take, they don't play with that.
So what led to our own arrest?
Well, mine was because two of us were together.
Yes.
Let me tell her that there was very ordained by God. That night wasn't even the night we go out for our preaching.
We didn't go out for preaching.
Were you arrested during the day or at night?
It was at night. It was at night. Yeah. We had gone to one of the boroughs to hear David Oyedepo, the first time in our life.
The first time for us to actually, I never saw him. That was the first time.
He came around.
Yeah, he was in Queens, New York.
Yeah, ministering to the ministers. So somebody said, this man, and they told us some things about him. Yeah. So somehow we were pulled to go. Yeah. We don't really do, we went. So on our way coming back, we were dressed up in suits. Because it's cool. October is cold in October.
Yeah.
So coming back, and because that's what he does always, we sat down and he started speaking. And most of the people there, we already know, we've been doing this for years, for 5 years. We know the nature of the book. We know the people. Once we look at them, we can tell you who is who. So, and they were all sitting down with their drink and all, whatever they, So he started speaking and they were listening. They were very quiet. Until that man showed up. So when the man showed up to stir up, he did not understand. I don't know, New York are people, they can come for your trouble and fight, and then later they look, whose trouble is that? So they did not know. So when that man started that, when he started harassing him, I have gone to him. I said, "Sir, if you start this, you may still see this."
You were not the only person. A lot of people have spoken to him the same thing.
Wow.
He was new in the boat.
So he's a young man, so he tried to show up. And I guess...
Speaking of that, we have had so many. I remember one day we were ministering publicly, and one young man had his hand on the neck of his girlfriend. and then we were ministering, and the man said, "Shut up. You are disturbing me and my girlfriend. We're having a wonderful time." And this was, and the girl took her hand off in public and slapped her and said, and said, "Why are you stopping a man of God from preaching? Because of me. You will not drag me to hell." This is what, and the man was apologized. We've had a man stand up in front of us to fight us, physically. Wow. Only for another man to stand in front of him to tell him, before you cross, and we don't know these people, before you cross. So it's been many events, but for every event, there are so many testimonies of salvation, healing, and deliverance. Wow. New York City, for example, has 4.5 million people that take the subway. So many people take public transportation because,
it's crowded, actually.
Yeah, it's crowded. Yeah.
So it's incredible. It's incredible. But when you say yes to God, you have no idea how far He is going to take you. Before New York City, of course, we did several tent meetings. We specialize in focusing on raising tents, mobilizing evangelists to work. Carry tents.
So 35 years of obedience to God. All your children are married?
The doctor is not married, so we're praying that God.
Hope that's not too personal a question.
No. Please, it's not personal.
I have just two more questions. Then I can allow you go.
Okay.
You've been in America for 35 years.
Yes.
I asked you behind the camera that if you put America side by side with Nigeria, how would you diagnose the challenges on both sides? You said we have good heart, bad head. They have good head, bad heart.
Yes.
I want you to reiterate that. I just wanted to hold that.
Yeah, so I'm speaking that in the sense of the church.
Yes.
Okay, the body of Christ. America championed revivals. They were the people that raised evangelists. They were the people that supported mission.
Is it still so now?
They had a heart and passion for Jesus. Yes.
They had.
And then you cannot say it completely of everybody. God has strong remnants in America, but by and large, it has diminished. I call it the setting of the sun on a generation of people. So they're like grandfather that is getting old, and the children are picking up the baton. And so spiritually
Why
speaking,
do you think there was no transference of the same passion to younger generation in America?
It is very sad because it's all from the church. For me, as far as I know, everything begins and dies with prayer.
Yes.
When church stops praying, all the other passions for God die with it. Passion for righteousness, passion for word evangelism, even passion for the poor. So much die with a church. So American churches have kind of like replaced prayer with activities and with programs and with technology. And a personal prayer of pastors, very, very rare, and congregational prayers, in most cases, don't even exist. The church is not praying.
Looking at what is going on in Nigeria now, what do you see the future to be?
Conversely, in Nigeria, you see a church that is praying, pursuing God, hungry for God.
Do you believe prayer?
Well, that's the point I'm trying to make. But the question is, they don't have knowledge. If I say that categorically, someone may understand, who are you to say that we don't have knowledge? Of the kingdom of God, of praying that His kingdom will come. That souls may be saved, established in righteousness, and walk with God. That thing that Jesus said, seek ye first the kingdom of God and the righteousness of that kingdom, and I will add other things to you. That's what America did. And God has blessed them as a nation. And even blessed. But now, we're seeing in Nigeria, the seeking of self-kingdoms and establishing my life, my car, my house, which
is very serious.
Yes, yes.
Now, as a man who has lived in America for 35 years, you have seen how their revival tend to also is weaved around even their governmental policies.
Yes.
For instance, the Constitution is established on scriptures.
Oh, yes.
A generation is here now trying to break away from that.
Big time.
The revival of Nigeria has not yet succeeded in being translated into societal transformation.
Yes.
If America can lose that fire, what do you make out of what is going on in Nigeria?
I have hope for Nigeria. Let me just say, I mentioned it, especially. I have hope for Nigeria because of the massive amount of young people that are so hungry for God.
The young people are finding ways back to African traditional religion. The young people are finding reasons not to be in church. The young people are saying, we want what is in America because they are building factories. We hate what is in Nigeria because they are building churches. Now, I'm giving you the state of the young people.
I understand,
There are still other young people who are carrying the fire. But like you said, lack the knowledge. So, looking at the situation we have on ground, I'm speaking from the fact that America had what was deep.
Yes.
We had the likes
For
of
many
T.L.
years.
Osborne, we had the likes of Kenneth Hagin, we had the likes of strange men, John Austin, men who rose and changed dynamics. We have Billy Graham.
And transformed their society,
Billy
their
Graham
communities.
stood with several presidents.
Yes.
We've not had such in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And America is still standing on what is left, the crumbs
The crumbs.
of the revival that was so deep. Now we celebrate something, I don't want to call it pseudo revival, but the depth has not penetrated into societal transformation yet.
Yes, but this is what I was telling my sister, the pastor, your wife, when we were at the table. And this is very, very important. When we were coming to Nigeria, God gave us a word out of Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. It says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And then he went forward and then he went backwards. He said, the earth was without form. It was void. And darkness was upon the whole deep. But it said the Spirit of God was moving in the surface of the deep. So there is this catalyst. The Spirit of God is moving. But it's like kerosene is poured on something or fuel is poured on something, but there's need of a match. I feel like Nigeria is watered with fuel. There is a need of a match. The very key ingredient for revival is hunger.
Yes.
Okay. And situations in life can create high level hunger for God.
Yes.
So one thing undeniably you cannot say about Nigeria is that they're not hungry for God. So they are very, very hungry for God. That God should raise men and women that will preach and treat and teach righteousness. Young people will catch fire. They are willing, they are willing to be taught. They are willing to run. They are willing to do whatever it is we want them to do. But there has to be a consistent preaching of righteousness in the sense of holiness of life and walk, righteousness in the sense of justice, doing what is right, even when it hurts. Righteousness in the sense of don't take your neighbor's property because it's not yours. Righteousness in the sense of obeying God in the Great Commission, putting Jesus first. He said, if anyone will come after me and not deny themselves, and pick up their cross and follow me, he will not make it. If we will preach righteousness, our young people will run ahead of us. We'll see a revolution. In the next 5 to 10 years, we will see a transformation and revolution. But the thing that really touched my heart is that God, please, don't let prosperity overtake the preaching of righteousness. Because if in this broke situation and unstable government situation, we are now doused with prosperity. The prosperity of the food is what kills. So if we become as prosperous as the people we look to in America, in a way, we're not going to make it. Because we don't have any foundation of righteousness. The places we are emulating, they have that foundation.
And even with that,
it's still shaking. Yes. So, but I'm believing God's faithfulness because there has been a lot of cry from men and women in this. Nigeria has solid men and women that love him, passionately that love him. And that is why Nigeria has not been overrun, I believe, by other religion that want to see us wiped out. Yes. So, and I believe that Nigeria is where it is at such a time as this for world missions. That God may saturate the nations with the gospel. We have them. Young people that love God, passionate, and potentially will do a lot for God. That is why last year we took 53. This year we're taking 1,000 young people. As we are speaking right now, we have over 700 of them already registered, going, and they will be
for the Uganda work.
They will live, for the Uganda work. They will live in the refugee camp for 6 months. So next year we're believing that we will be able to live in the camps for 9 months, and I'm loving and serving the refugees and being kindled by what kindles the heart of God. So I tell my people all the time, may the pleasure of God be my pleasure. May I not have pleasure in what displeases him. So if we match our pleasure with the pleasure of God, there's no way that he will not take us. Yeah. Some of these young people, God will make them people of influence that will make decisions that will help turn our country around. But God is the one that exalts a nation and dethrones a nation. But we must pursue God first. I have high hopes for this country, very high hopes. And I'm believing God that the end time revival has a lot to do with our young people here.
Oh, wow. Yeah. We just want to thank you for making out time, despite your busy schedule. Mm-hmm. You have flight to catch and you've made out time to be here. Yeah. And like I've always said, that success and prominence are two different things. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it is God who is the ultimate judge of what exactly we all have been doing. I'm sure you've been blessed listening to their phenomenal stories, their mission work, their testimony of faith, and all the amazing things God has been doing with them across the world. And we are just so grateful for the gift of you. And you've said really, really amazing things today that we cannot forget in a hurry. Yeah. Just to close, if there's any closing remark from you.
Yes, I want to make an appeal to young people out there. If you're a young person at this particular time, we are recruiting young 20 to 35 year old, and we are recruiting graduates, whether it's from Bible school graduate or university, polytechnic graduate, who are born again and spirit filled. And when we talked about giving 1 year like you give to your country, we're asking you to give 1 year of your life to missions. We will provide whatever is necessary for you to do that. So you cannot say, I don't have money to go. By the grace of God, we are trusting God. He's never failed us. He will not fail us today, because mission is the passion of the Lord. That's why he gave his son, and that's why he gave his life. So we believe that the ends of the earth will be reached through our obedience. So we're asking you, if you want to come, we will secure a passport for you if you don't have one. We will pay for the flight ticket, your feeding, your ground transportation, whatever is necessary to make it possible for you to come if you qualify and meet this criteria. And we're also asking churches and pastors to support in whatever they can. If somebody is coming from your church, you can help sponsor. If you get 10 people are coming, you can sponsor 5 or 10 of them. But whatever you cannot do, by the grace of God, God will provide for life mission. If you're a business person, people pay for distance and make it possible. The transformation in the life of these missionaries and transformation in the life of the refugees is beyond what you can imagine. And we're asking even adults that want to sponsor themselves to come and see what God is doing, you're welcome to come. Medical teams and different people that can do different things. But what we are focused on is taking the gospel to these people. Last year we passed close to 100,000 Bibles. And this year we're going to pass much, much more as we seek to disciple these refugees by the grace of God. But we cannot do it alone. It will take the whole church to take the whole world to the whole world. And we can do it. We can reach our generation.
To take the whole church.
To take the whole world.
To take the whole world.
To the whole world. Yes. Yes.
Amazing.
By the grace of God.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your resilience
Thank you.
over the years. It is so beautiful to see what you're doing. And there are images you are seeing now on your screen that some of their mission works across the world, from Uganda to Sudan to other places. And you have numbers on the screen with account details. We'd like to request, and I've always said this, that every church and every believer should have at least a mission field that you are partnering with. Now, I want us to understand that the life we have been called to live is not for ourselves. We have been bought with a price. And at the end of the day, we stand before Christ to talk about not just what you have accumulated, but your faithfulness in stewarding what God has blessed you with. It doesn't matter what nation you are listening to us from. This is a credible mission field, and we want you to be a part of this work. All details that you need are on the screen right now as you watch. I would like for you to give your full support. You want to be on mission field, all right, across the world, anywhere, regardless of your nation. There are criteria, there are acts that you should meet. I mean, we want you to be a part of this, and God bless you even as you do so in return. Thank you so much, Reverend.
Thank you, Pastor.